up a dive. Feel the vibe, get ready to ignite. Untold stories in the airways, flying through the night. Experience voices, tales so bold. Streaming live, the truth unfolds. Untold Radio Network, where secrets come alive. New episodes daily, the mysteries thrive. Great guests, super chat, it's so I remember right. Share and subscribe, join the side where truth can't hide. Aliens in the attic, UFOs in the sky. Cryptids lurking, oh my, oh my. Ghosts in the hallway, whispering your name. The paranormal, the unexplained. Become a VIP, get the inside scoop. Unlock the mysteries, be part of the group. Live streaming stories, they're talking to you. Super chats buzzing, join the crew. Untold Radio Network, where secrets come alive. New episodes daily, the mysteries thrive. Great guests, super chat, it's a wild member ride. Share and subscribe, join the side where truth can hide. So if you've got the guts and you want to explore, tune into the untold, it's what you're looking for. From aliens to ghosts and all that's unseen. Untold Radio Network, where the world's mysteries convene.
Good morning, monsters, and welcome to this week's episode of Monsters on the Edge here on the Untold Radio Network. We are live this morning. Good morning, Lee. Good morning, Kim. And good morning, Flat Rockland. Welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for tuning in and sharing your comments and questions. If you have any questions or comments throughout today's show, throw them in the comments section. We will get to them as soon as possible. We are live. So guys, coming up, if you guys want to show your support for all things here at Cryptids, Anomalies, and the Paranormal Society, my team, we have our little web store there for TeePublic. You can get all kinds of t-shirts and hats and stickers and shorts now, even fanny packs, coffee mugs, tote bags, all kinds of cool stuff. And we have a brand new design. That's right. The Caps Ugly sweatshirt is out just in time for Christmas holiday season. And they're all on sale right now. You can get a t-shirt starting at just $16 plus shipping. So head on over to wisconsincaps.com. Click on Shop Our Store on the side of the page, and it'll take you to our TeePublic site, and you can get all kinds of cool stuff. You can get the logo on all kinds of merchandise. If you guys have not checked out our documentary, The Hairy Man of Dairyland, it is available on our Patreon page. It is all about Bigfoot activity in our home state of Wisconsin. And if you guys want to meet us in person, we are going to be at Milwaukee Krampus Night. It is going to be Sunday, December 6th, and it takes over the entire brewery district of Milwaukee. It's a huge event, all kinds of vendors and all kinds of stuff, food trucks, all kinds of neat stuff down there. It's a huge event. Head over to our website or their website for more information. Coming up next year, we're going to be at the Contact Modalities Expo May 1st, 2nd, and 3rd in Delavan, Wisconsin, and CapCon in Wisconsin May 9th. All right, that's what we got coming up, guys. Super excited for all that. But we are live, and we have an awesome guest, so I want to get going with that. Here we go. All right, guys, my guest today is Carter Buschardt. He has been an investigator with the BFRO for the last 15 years, originally from Texas and currently lives in Missouri. He has nearly 100 reports published to the BFRO website and has interviewed over 500 witnesses and counting. He is an experienced outdoorsman and trained as an investigator for MUFON. He studied herpetology in college and has a long-time interest in Sasquatch has a long-time special interest in Sasquatch long-term habituation sites, burial research, infrasound, language, and stick structures. He is a true boots-on-the-ground researcher and investigator, and not a desktop warrior. He has met and visited the properties of nearly half of the witnesses whose reports he has published. He monitors and visits several properties with ongoing habituation activity to this day. He is a contributing writer to Strange Knox Quarterly magazine. And he has several books published with a new one on the way. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Carter Buschardt. Carter, thank you for joining me.
Oh, you woke me up. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, I hear you great.
Awesome.
I just took my headphones off, so I wanted to let everybody see this beautiful bald head.
That is a lovely glare there.
Yeah. So, hey, well, thanks for having me. This is really cool. It's a great way to make the most of my day because I usually, piss half the day off, and we're doing this right at high noon. So, I'm forced to do something intelligent with my time. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. That's how I feel about these two. So,
yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, where would you like to start? What have you got going on? I know we got your new book coming out. Do you want to start with that? Do you want to start
we can talk about that. Yeah.
Let's get into this.
I sent you the cover, right?
Yes, you did. Well, yeah, you did. Yep.
I'm sorry, dumb apers. This is going to really torque you off, but and I had fun with the artwork. Raven Hawk. I don't know if you're familiar with her. She did my artwork on this. And she actually took my eyeballs. She sent me a messenger, said, give me some faces or some smirks. She wanted to put my smirk or the look on my face on the Sasquatch. She's going to do for me. So those eyes are actually my eyes. That's pretty talented. I couldn't even begin to do that,
Mm-hmm.
Sadly, I used to look like that back in high school. So, but this book is, it's a compilation of my other 4 books, and I'm doing strictly the quantum, metaphysical, and paranormal aspects of these beings. And these stories, except for a few, are all from my habituation properties where they have some bizarre stuff going on anyway. And so, I'm putting, with each family I chose, I'm putting a couple of stories of traditional Sasquatch activity, tree peeking or walking across the road or, hearing a howl or seeing a structure or something typical, and the rest is strictly paranormal quantum stuff that most people just scoff at. Because these people are living with these beings on their property. They experience this stuff daily, weekly, monthly, yearly. One family, probably 25 to 27 years with the Sasquatch on their property. Just think about that. Just think about that. You might see one every day or every other day or once a week, just going to get your mail. In fact, that's when they see one. So it's it runs the gamut of all kinds of experiences, but each one of them have paranormal quantum stuff they can't even explain, UFOs, orbs, something disappearing and reappearing right in front of their faces, that kind of stuff, and stuff you can't explain with, the dumb ape theory. So that's what I'm putting it in, because it's getting really old. It's stagnating our progress if we just stick with dumb ape only. It answers like out of 1,000 questions, it might answer 2. It doesn't explain a lot of stuff that people are seeing and experiencing. So we just got to get off of that, and that's what I'm doing, with this book. So, but it's a pretty good book, and I've got some updates from a lot of my families I'm still in touch with many of them, and I go out to visit whenever I can, or when they'll let me, if they got free time. So I go spend time with them. I've had all kinds of weird stuff happen to me while I'm there. It's like, well, they're not BSing me because this is truly unbelievable. I can't even grasp it. And they told me, and I'm there experiencing it. I'm going, awesome. Well, these aren't liars. So that's my criteria is spending time with these people and absorbing what they're experiencing. And it's just the most incredible thing, ever. So that's why I'm putting a new one out.
Very cool. When do you expect that to hit the stores?
Well, I have a deadline of November 10th from the printer. Now, I don't know if I'll make that, but I'm trying to. I was going to do it as an electronic only book, because people aren't really buying books now because the economy sucks. The 25 or 30 bucks for a book, you can buy groceries for 4 or 5 days. It's getting to be that way. People say, well, I'd like to buy your books, I just can't afford them. And even if I do them at cost, that's fine. But sometimes I can't afford them at that. So I was going to do a Kindle book only for like $15, and it's just going to have all these photos and all this. But the publisher just talked me out of it because people do like the feel of a book, the smell and the feel of the pages and all that stuff. And I agree, I like that better. So I'm gonna pull 100 copies out and see what I can do with them. But it should be a good book. It's interesting. It's all true stuff. None of my books have any fiction. There's no made up stuff. The only thing is falsified is the location and the names of the experiencers. That's it. Everything else is real. So
Flat Rock Glenn says, I buy real books as well as I do. So there's just
yeah. See, that's the sentiment, but 25 or 30 bucks for a book, because mine are full color. It kind of gets, so what I'm doing is doing less color, still having the photos, but just less color, very, very high grade black and white photos, and they look pretty good. And if somebody has the book and they don't like the black and white photos, I'll send you the color ones if you just message me.
Kim says she buys books as well. See, there's plenty of people out there that still
well, it's still a rough economy, so that's the deal. And it costs $1,600 to print 100 copies of a 300-page color book. That I got to get my money back, and sadly it's about that. But I sell a lot of them and give them away at times. But it costs. Sell them at cost if I just need to. But we'll see what happens. But it's oh, hey Lee, I saw you. I was going to say hi.
Yes, Lee says she has all of your books. So there you go.
Yes, she does. Yes, she does.
Oh, here's a good question. Flat Rockland says, what I can't read an electronic book by fire when the power's out.
Well, I'll send you $20 to pay the electric bill. I'll stick it in the book when you buy it. No, I know it. I get it. That's a good one, Flat Rock. That's a good one. I like that.
Yep. Awesome. All it takes is one solar flare and the entire electronic internet and everything, data is gone. So it's always good to have hard copies of everything. So absolutely.
So the story I was going to tell is on the cover of my second book. I think I sent that one to you, but it's this right here.
Okay. No, you didn't send me the cover, but I got the picture. So
yeah, it's the picture.
Yep.
Yeah. That, and I've already labeled it in this new book. This is the greatest gift I have ever been given doing research. See me get all teary now when I just think about it. But so 2019, I went and led an expedition in Illinois because the original guy bailed out because it was COVID, and he had 30 or 40 reservations. And when COVID went out, people were just canceling left and right. And so when it got down to like 7 or 8 people, he said, screw it, I'm not going to do this. I don't want to do this expedition because no one's going to be there. And so he canceled out. And so there were still 4 people that wanted to go. They said, I don't want my money back. We want to go on an expedition. They were wanting to get away from all the crap with COVID. So, Caroline with BFRO called me and said, hey, would you be interested? And I said, yeah, I've got a good friend, Harold, who's a partner, a fellow researcher, lives in Illinois, and he could be of help. So yeah, I'll do it. So that's what I had. I had 4 people and Harold. And so we went to, and this is what I did not know at the time, but when I go and research an area, I go to like the small mom and pop diner breakfast joints that open at 5:30 in the morning. And I go ask all the overall crowd. I say, hey guys, I'm just in town looking for a good place to do some research and checking out where's a good place to look for Sasquatch. And after all the snickering dies down, yeah, right, yeah, well, they'll answer. They'll say, well, I'll tell you where you don't want to go. And that's this place down there by the water plant. You do not want to go down there. There's not a person, man, woman, or child that'll go anywhere near that place after dark. It's haunted. It's cursed. I don't know what's wrong with it. Nobody will go there. So you don't want to go there. So I said, well, thank you. That's where the heck I'm going. I mean, why would you tell me that? Because, that's a perfect spot. So I went and scouted it out, and it looked pretty good. I mean, it looked really good. And we stayed in the Trail of Tears State Park, which is about 12 miles east of where this area was. And so we camped there, and then we drove our cars to the parking lot in this area. So, but all 5 of us and myself, that's 6, showed up. Now, Harold, my partner, he's had a couple of strokes and cancer, so it's real hard for him to get around. This is very rugged, downhill, rocky terrain. A flood had come through there long ago and ripped all this area up. So it was really treacherous, and he just couldn't make the trek. So he was going to stay in his truck and in the parking lot, and we had radio contact so we could stay in touch, and we'd keep him up to speed on what's going on, and he could hear it and see it and all that. So I get the people down there during the day. Saturday is when we first went out, and we went down there, and I'll be darned, I had some of the best footprints and structures. We had dozens of footprints. It was crappy substrate, so it was all chipped rock and all this from the flooding and the rock slides and all that. So, but there were some really good 15-inch prints there. So these 2 couples, they got to learn how to cast prints, and they see the structures, and they know how to do this and that, and they were all excited. So we went back after the day. I left all the prints there to cure for the rest of the day and possibly overnight. And we got back about 8:30, 9 o'clock at night, got back to the same location. And this was October. So it was nippy, and it got dark early, and there was nobody out because it was COVID. I mean, it was vacant. So you couldn't go anywhere because there was nothing open. So we're walking down there, and we suddenly have little twigs, rocks, pebbles being tossed at us. And so, I picked up a couple and tossed them back up, and they come back out. And so, but they weren't making any noise. You could hear them monitoring us. They could hear them following us. The sides of this ravine were about 25 feet tall, 20 to 25 feet tall on each side. And the floodwaters just going to cut a hole right through there. So they weren't going to come down. We weren't going to go up, but they were watching us, and you could hear them kind of snorting and grunting a little bit and then shuffling around, but they just would not. Normally they'll do something. They'll throw a bigger rock, or they'll snap a twig, or they'll do something. It added to the creep factor because they were not being overt. They were just watching us, which that's my job. I want to watch the Sasquatch. They're not supposed to watch us. It's not fair. The tables were turned, so what the heck? So anyway, we go down to the very end of this trail, and that's where this log was. And right, about 10 feet north of where that log is another big tree. And it was wedged up. It blocked the whole ravine, not just part of it. It blocked the whole ravine. And I saw I did get a nice, probably a juvenile heat signature. His head was peeking up and down from behind this big log, and then it ran back around the log and ran up into the woods. And we heard that. That's the only thing we actually heard. So there was some action there. So we decided to go on back home. By then it was about 10:30 at night, and they weren't going to give us anything else. And due to the seriously bad terrain, I could have gone on further around, but it was just not safe. And so we left for that night, went back home. It was exciting. It was exhilarating. Everybody was, excited. They're more excited about the casting and all that stuff, And, but so anyway, the next morning we got out, and Harold was feeling better. So he was going to go down there and walk down there with us. So we all went back to the same place. We went and checked the footprints we had cast, and they were still just, because it was cold, they hadn't set yet. And so I went ahead and left them, and we'll go back and get them, later Saturday night. So Saturday night, we go back and do our thing. And Saturday, deer season had opened that day. And the forest was like dead. There was nothing going, because, the hunters. And when I went out there Saturday to kind of look around a little bit, I saw a couple of guys up in the trees in their stands. So they'd already come in and were right where we were, but they weren't going to be there at night. So Sunday night, we get there, and excuse me, Saturday night, not Sunday night, Saturday. Friday and Saturday were the night of the expedition. Saturday night, we get there. Harold's there, walks down most of the way, and he stays with us. And we're hearing the same kind of grunting and snorting and shuffling around, and they're throwing sticks and twigs. This time we do hear a little twig snapping and stuff like that. So it was just really odd that they were not more overt. And, it could have been because it was hunting season. Maybe they thought we had guns or something, but we didn't. No kill. Anyway, so it was eventful. We had fun with it. The hikers had a great time. I mean, there was a big adventure for these people. They had never been out in the woods like this at night on a Sasquatch expedition, and they saw footprints and structures. They were so excited. So it was a success from that area. So Saturday night, before we leave, I take my trail camera and I leave it at the intersection. See where the two logs are kind of hooked together. I left it right in the crook, that L there on the ground, and hopefully something would trip it. You never get a picture of a Sasquatch on a trail cam, well, except me. But if you don't put one out, you're guaranteed not to get a picture. So I left it there, crossed my fingers, and went back, spent the night. And Sunday morning to get up, excuse me, and I said my goodbye to Harold. We got break camp, and I'm on, where we were was about 350 miles from Liberty, Missouri, where I live, Kansas City, basically. So I had to go by and get the camera. I was going to call my wife on the way and tell her I'm leaving now, and I got my camera and I'm heading out. So I get to this log, and there's, I get my camera, I'm looking at it, and I'm going, what is this? What are these rocks? What is this? It's just somebody playing a joke on me or something. Like, again, if I get teary-eyed, excuse me. But I'm looking at it, I'm going, whoa, there was nobody here. We left about 10:30, Saturday night, there's nobody out, there's nobody here. It was dead quiet, and it's COVID, and there was nobody out in the woods at all. And I'm looking at it, and I'm suddenly going, oh my God, that's the expedition people. That's me, the pointed rock. I'm the leader, and some 4 people I had behind me. That's me leading the expedition. And Harold, that little round rock at the other end where I had my camera, that's him, because he's kind of short and round. He's kind of a chunky guy. But he was with us, but wasn't with us. But he was separated. And I'm looking at this, I'm going, oh my God. Sorry, and I'm going, they're making contact. They're letting me know. They know who we are. They know who I am. And so I'm freaking out. I call Harold, and we can't even talk. We're both so excited, and I'm bawling because I'm so happy, just like I'm doing now. And I was just, it hit me like a punch. It was just like, oh my God, I hear about this from other people, but, they know me. They know what we're doing here. And I'll tell you the reason this was done, but in a minute. So I hang up on Harold. I call my wife. I said, hey, I'm about to head home, but you're not going to believe this, And I was telling her about the rocks and all the stuff on the log. And she's going, well, that is awesome. Well, what time was that? I said, I don't know. We left around 6:30, and it was dead. So somebody would have had to come here in the dead of night and do that, because it's dark. It gets dark at 5 o'clock in fall, in Illinois. She goes, well, I was getting ready for bed last night, 8:30. I'll have to see if I can keep my composure. A blue orb flew into our bedroom, made 2 or 3 circles, did a couple of flips, went into the bathroom and vanished, while my wife was standing there looking at it. I'm going, holy crap, they know where I live. Burn the house. Let's get out of town. They're going to kill us. No, I was just like, oh my God, they know where I live. They know my wife. They know where we are. Holy crap. And I couldn't believe it. And she was, oh my God. So I'm on the way home, and I suddenly realized that this is the Trail of Tears, and this gully washed out 94 graves of Native Americans that were on the forced march of death from the Carolinas to Arizona, California, wherever they were going. And they died. They froze to death on this very spot because they were waiting for people, because the Mississippi River is just up the road from where I'm at. This is the old water plant in Murfreesboro. And so they were waiting, and they froze to death because the people that were getting there couldn't get them food and blankets in time, because they were hindered by the winter storm, the snow. And so come to find out, when this thing got washed out 94 graves. There was bones and pieces of, corpses everywhere. And being a very rigidly, I'll just say, racial area, they put them back in the ground as fast as they could. They tore down the trail markers that marked this as the Trail of Tears. The hateful, racially motivated people in that particular area. And I didn't know that when I went and researched it. Those signs had been torn down. So we were showing respect and being quiet and not tearing anything up, just because that's what I would do anyway. You don't do that on an expedition. But I think they felt like we were showing respect for the area and the people that died. I knew it was the Trail of Tears, and I knew what came through here. I knew they marched through here, but I didn't realize all those graves had been the Cherokee, which is the main tribe. the Cherokee tribe wanted the proper burial garments or blankets. They wanted red or yellow blankets, and that's what they had been buried with, because the traditional Native American burial, whatever they did, that's what they did it right. Well, the hateful rednecks in that part of town just dug up what they could because they were forced to, and they just buried them hastily without any notice to the Native American tribes of the area, so they could come and do their own celebration of life and do whatever they do when they bury their dead. Nobody was ever notified from the Native American tribe in the neighborhood. And that was just a horrible, nasty thing to do. But that just blew my mind that they came back at night and put those markers out and said, "We know who you are." And they even delineated between Harold being with us but not with us. It blew me away. It was the craziest form of communication. And my wife got the bonus, and I wish I'd have seen it, because she was in there, getting ready for bed, and this blue orb just appears and flying around the room in circles and starts doing flips, like it's like showing off or saying goodbye or hello or something. Then it goes in the bathroom and vanishes. I mean, that gets me every time I tell the story. I can't help it because it's such a meaningful, and since that time, I've had telepathic messages from Sasquatch people, about 4 or 5 of them since then. Not a lot, but, and they usually are looking at me from above, like I'm down in the ground, like in a hole, and there's grass circling this hole. And I'm looking up, and I see these Sasquatch faces kind of looking down, going, looking at me. I'm going, "Well, hey, howdy. Hey, where is this? This looks just like my research area. Where is this?" And there's like Sasquatch laying around. They're laying on logs or leaning against a tree. The kids are poking sticks in the ground, digging for grubs or mice, and they're just a day in the life. And they just said, "Home. This is home." And that's all they said. So it was either that place or one of my research areas here in Missouri. And I think it was the research area in Missouri, because it looked a lot more like that. But that was like the most moving thing that I've ever experienced, And I couldn't even talk because I was bawling so bad. Just like now, I could barely talk. But it was just like, it was the aha moment. In the book, I'm calling it a shoulder tap moment, because they're like, "We know who you are." And it's not like the mafia and you owe them money. It's like, it's a good thing. They know who I am. They know where I live. And I think they didn't say it, but if they did that, I think they kind of like me. They don't dislike me. It was just, I don't know how would I put that into words. It's just, if I tell this story 25 times in a row, I'll bawl 23, and the only other 2 times just because I'm out of liquid. But it was just a monumental event for me, because the work I put in has paid off. They made connection, a communication with me. And a lot of things have happened at our home here since that day. And since that day, I started a Word document called Strangeness at Our Home. All kinds of bizarre stuff is happening here since that day. Somebody tapped me on the head 3 times while I'm sitting there watching TV with my wife on the sofa. I look over at her like, "You just tapped me on the head?" "Oh, why would I do that? You're sitting right next to me." But it was like, who does that? We've had some other weird stuff happen here, but I think they come here and prank me every now and then. They just come here to let me know they're around, and it's a lot to absorb for people that are pretty on the fence of paranormal or quantum type things. But this is like, I'll go to my grave telling this story, and if you want to shoot me, go ahead. but do it on the side because I want this pretty face to stay around.
Well, so let me ask you this: what do you think? What do you think of that? How do you quantify or whatever the fact that you're having this experience in Illinois and your wife is having an experience in Missouri? And I don't get me wrong, I'm not poo-pooing or anything. You're having these two separate occurrences that you establish to be the same creatures or entities. So what do you think that they are then? If they're not flesh and blood, what do you think these things are to be able to have that interaction like that?
Well, I think they can, use portals, and they can change their molecular structure and disappear and reappear someplace else. I think that's like a no-brainer for them. It's a lot to swallow when you see, the first time I ever saw one ever, I was leading an expedition in Missouri in 2012 or 13, and it vanished while I was watching it on a thermal. It just went boom, like a flash bulb, and blew up and disappeared because it didn't know we were there in the forest in the dark waiting for some lost members of our party. So we were sitting in silence, and we had no radio contact. So I was scanning with my thermal, and everybody was just quiet, don't say a word, because I want to be able to hear them if one of the radios crackles, because we were down in a holler and they were lost and didn't know where they were. So, and I thought I did see the heat signature coming through the woods. I'm thinking, okay, be quiet, everybody. I think this might be them. And it walked around the corner, and it wasn't them. There was a Sasquatch, and it just took one step and vanished because it didn't know we were sitting there on radio silence. We were just, it boom. And nobody saw it because I was watching it on thermal. So I don't know that it was even solid. What I was seeing was a heat signature, but it was not in solid form. Or somebody might have seen it when it walked around and disembodied and vanished. But no one said a thing. It was just bizarre. So I believe and know that they have this skill set. I can't explain it because I'm not a scientist, but molecular theory, quantum theory allows for the possibility of demoleculizing yourself and reappearing somewhere else. There are, I can't remember how many, there are probably up to 21 ways that quantum is explained as possible through Einstein, Max, and some of the others. But it's a happening thing. And my witnesses, my habituation people, they're calling me with the same things I've seen and experienced, and other people. They're all strangers. Nobody knows anybody. Did I meet by happenstance the 100 craziest people in the United States, and they all called me and gave me their stories? Half of them were reports to BFRO. And so these people are sitting on this stuff, and they're afraid to say anything for fear of ridicule and mockery, which, the people closest to you are the ones that make you feel the stupidest, your wife and your family, immediate family. So, but yeah, I believe it. I just cannot explain it. I've seen it. I sat down on the porch of one of my families here in Missouri, and I grabbed a 6-pack or 2 of beer. We sat on the front porch, and they said, "Well, Carter, here's your lucky chance." So we sat there and we started throwing sticks and rocks across this road, and they would come back, and we'd throw them back, and and this is juveniles. I've been to this property a couple of times where I was throwing all this stuff, where I'd hung 5 mirrors in the trees. Go to Dollar Tree and buy those little cheap mirrors that are not that big, but you can see your face. Well, 3 of the 5 have disappeared. So there's some Sasquatch looking at his or her reflection for the very first time. and seeing it that's not reflected in a pond or a river or a creek. And, symbiotic relationship that they had with the Native Americans when we had captured the Native Americans and destroyed their lives and their camps. We were taking their pictures. They hated that. They thought when they saw the photo of themselves, they thought we were stealing their souls.
Mm-hmm.
You heard that? Have you heard that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they thought we were stealing their souls. Well, the symbiotic relationship with Sasquatch and Native Americans, who told who that theory? They're stealing your soul. So when the Sasquatch don't like trail cameras and all that, well, you know why? Because number one, you're going to prove they exist. But number two, it may be more of a metaphysical thing. You're stealing my soul. If you have my picture, you can take my soul and do with it what you want because my soul is inside that picture of me. I mean, nobody knows what they know and think really, but I'm just trying to, if I'm a human trying to logically figure all this out and I want to believe in this stuff, I'm going, well, I guess your soul could be inside the body that's been had a picture taken of it. So on that piece of paper could be your soul in your body. I mean, of course, we know that's not true, but to a society that knew nothing about any of that stuff in the 1800s, hey, that would make sense to them. So, but I have too many people exclaiming and telling me the things they're seeing, the orbs that turn into a Sasquatch in the house that comes through the wall. And then it leaves the same way. It turns back into an orb from a Sasquatch and goes through the wall or out the window, through the window, and it's gone.
Can you go into a little more detail on those? I'd be interested in hearing some of those stories.
Yeah. I have a woman, she's out west, can't be specific, but she experiences these things. Now, her husband is an avowed skeptic. I don't believe in these things at all. Well, we've been married 40 years, so you better believe in them. But he's never seen one. And he doesn't know what she's looking at because he's never seen anything. Well, about 4 years ago, he finally saw one because he was staying up late, 3 a.m, watching TV because he'd had a knee replacement surgery, didn't want to take the drugs. So he was just trying to get so sleepy watching TV, he would just fall asleep and pass out. And while he was watching TV, Sasquatch walks across his front yard. He's looking right through the picture window. The TV's right here, and he's just seeing this. He's just walking by and it takes a look over at him, looking through the mirror, and just keeps walking. And he told his wife, I got to tell you, he didn't tell her right away. Waited for a couple of weeks, but he finally told her, I saw one the other night. I believe you. I finally saw one. But she was been telling him about the orbs and them turning into little bitty orbs and crawling into the trees. They leave their home, fly into the trees, and that's where they get their power. They sleep, they restore their energy. That's a theory. Mm-hmm. So she has several pictures, 5 or 6 lights, kind of like square lights like this. Boom, 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 boom. They're about 3 or 4 inches apart, and they're glommed to the side of a tree. And I have a guy here in Arkansas has the same photo. So what do you do with that stuff? He didn't stand around long enough to find out, because when he was watching these lights twinkling up and down the tree, he was watching this mist was forming in front of him, and it was 2, one larger, one smaller, like somebody wearing ghosts, sheets over their human form. And it started getting thicker and thicker, and so they were going to materialize. And he said, I'm out of here. So he didn't stick around to see what happened, but he got the photo at night. So things of that. But the Sasquatch she has this incredible gifting thing. And I've got some photos. They're marginal at best, but I do see what she's seeing. But you know, if it's in disarray, if it's not an obvious Sasquatch, you got to be careful about it. Well, I believe that. I believe you're seeing it. I believe you believe it. But you know, but what's really going on with her now is the mother Sasquatch has two babies, probably twins. They look to be the same size and everything. They will come to the window outside her bedroom, and the little babies will be holding these teddy bears that she puts in these bags and hangs on the trees as the gifting. And she has seen them, but the babies are holding the bags. But when they put them back in the bags, they both put them back in a different bag than they got it from. And so when she goes out the next day, those bags are hanging on the tree, but you can definitely tell because you know they're the Ziploc bags. So one's got a red strip on top, one's got a green strip. Well, the girl teddy bear and the boy teddy bear are in the different colored baggies from what they were in. And she watched them. I mean, that's super creative if she's BSing me. But she's sending me, I've got these pictures and stuff, and she's sending me hundreds and hundreds of dollars. She's blowing up all these thousands of photos, 8x10s. And I've got boxes of them. I haven't even gone through them all. And she's in the orbs that are flying. There's a heart-shaped Valentine orb that is shown to her all the time, day and night. It looks like a little heart, and it's an orb. It turns from this white little thing, looks like a little top, into a heart-shaped orb. And I'm gonna put that in the new book. But it's just, what do you do with that? She's a sane, rational person. Now he has seen one morph from an orb into a Sasquatch in his bedroom. They sleep in separate bedrooms because he's what do you call it? Snoring, sleep apnea. He's got one of those CPAP machines. So half the time it keeps her awake. So they sleep in separate bedrooms. But he saw it. But you know, I use the word ignorance politely. Mm-hmm. I believe I saw that one. I saw it. I know it exists. I believe you. I do not believe what I just saw. However, I do not believe they can do that. But he just saw it. He saw it, but I don't believe they can do it. Mm-hmm. So what do you do with that? You know, I mean, in the book, I've told, you know, I've never spoken to him. He doesn't do any of this stuff. She does it all. I said, well, you can't have it both ways. Is your wife standing there in front of you, or is she a ghost? Well, she's both, or she's neither. Well, no, you can't have it both ways. Which is it? Did you see the Sasquatch, and then you saw one multiple months later materialize in your bedroom, show itself to you, and then disappear, and you do not believe you saw that? So what do you do with logic like that? But I am firmly convinced I believe it. I've had the stuff happen to me with that blue orb here, and another event that happened to me when I had Mind Speak, making me see things that weren't there in Missouri in 2012. They can do that. How? I do not know. You know, you don't know me personally. You don't know that I'm just sitting here trying to sell books and telling you, you know, baloney stories. I mean, this is like from the bottom of my heart. This stuff is real. It's really happening, you know, and it brings me to tears emotionally because I'm going, oh, this is actually really this is real stuff. It really happens. People aren't crazy. The crazy ones are the ones that don't believe it. You know, if you just can't wrap your head, I understand it. You know, everybody has their own opinion. There's no hate or love toward anybody that doesn't believe like I do or see or whatever. It doesn't matter. If you don't believe, you don't believe. But if you're going to be hateful and nasty, well, the gloves are off. I'll be mean and nasty back to you. But, I've seen this stuff, and it's just, what do you do when you see it and experience it? My wife, she reluctantly has been made to experience the Sasquatch twice with me. Now, she's had paranormal experiences with ghosts and stuff. She cleaning out her grandparents' house up in Nebraska. So she's had paranormal stuff knocking her head off her head and tapping her on the shoulder and knocking over boxes while she's in the house by herself. So she's had that. She believes in that part, but this part, until she met me, and then with the abduction, she was with me when I found out about that. So she wants to deny what she would be prone to. She can't, and that's the thing with Rebecca and her husband, Mark. I believe this, but I don't believe that. And I saw both. I mean, if Barnaby, if you saw one disappear right in front of you, would you go, well, that was a really good gummy? Or would you go, oh my effing G, what did I just see? I'm not stoned. I'm not drunk. I'm not using defective equipment. What did I just see? Which would it be for you? You gotta flip a coin and stand in a corner, one of the corners, and this stuff keeps coming at me. I got an email from a woman here in Missouri just 2 or 3 days ago. I took her squatching with me. Weird shit happened when we were together, but she's got stuff. It looks like something's landing on her property, and Sasquatch are getting out and doing something and getting back in its craft and flying off. I've got some of the video, like it's happening at 3 a.m, and it's during a pour, but there's nothing in the area where she's showing me. There's nothing there during the day, but at night there's some red triangular something, and it opens up about halfway, and some humanoid something, and it's not an alien. It looks like a Sasquatch or something else, gets out and moves around, is doing something around this craft or red, whatever it is, this red triangle thing. It's going around like it's trying to fix something or find something that's wrong or something. Who knows? I know her and I trust her. She's a retired professor. She's a scientist. She's a certified skeptic. It took her out in the woods, and we saw and heard stuff that you cannot explain. And her husband's the same way. I don't believe any of this. Oh, wait, now I do because I just saw one. So, I mean, it was the same thing. Now, he's having a little trouble with the paranormal quantum stuff. But, so, I got to flip a coin. I'm going to stand on the corner of the weird and strange, because that's what I've seen and experienced. And others are telling me the same thing. None of us know each other. And, I could get a call tomorrow from somebody. Maybe somebody listening here that's going like, hey, and where most of my data came from that told me this was going on was the BFRO reports, where people would not tell me the truth. They would tell me about some other report that had nothing to do with what they called in about in the first place. Mm-hmm. And then I said, why don't you tell me what you're really getting at? What are you wanting to tell me? I will not use your name. I will not publish this report to BFRO. I will not use your location. And just tell me. And one by one, slowly, the people started telling me what they were seeing and experiencing, other than the tree peeking and the knocks, mm-hmm. and orbs in the house, UFOs, giant UFOs. It's looking more and more like the UFO Sasquatch connection is actual a thing, because a lot of my witnesses are reporting seeing a Sasquatch right before or after an orb or UFO event, or seeing a UFO or orb event right after a Sasquatch. They're somehow connected, or maybe they're attracted to the presence of the other, so they show up to see what's going on. I don't know. But, so you probably find it hard to grasp some of this stuff, but it is happening. And Barnaby, if it hasn't happened to you yet, you're doing enough weird stuff. One day, something really bizarre is going to happen, and you're going to go, "Oh my God!" Carter on the phone.
We've had one of the first, not the first expedition, but one of the first expeditions that we did with Bigfoot. I actually saw a blue basketball-size orb out in the woods. And I don't want to say like there was any, it was on a Bigfoot property, obviously, but I didn't hear anything or see anything besides the orb. The people that we were with had heard stuff in the woods where it was, but I didn't. But I actually caught the orb on thermal, and it just looks like a soap bubble going across. It's not hot or cold. There's no differential between the background or the foreground of the heat signatures. It's just a circle that goes across the screen.
Mm-hmm.
And the same property, my mom has seen, like you said, these small white orbs, and they're all clustered around a tree. And she'd see them out all night because they would sit in the middle of the property there. And me and my partner would go walk the property and come back, and we had this whole routine and stuff. And she would see these things all night. These things, and there's a lot of stuff in the comments section here. I want to point this out too. We are live. Obviously, you guys kind of know that, the people that are commenting. But if you have any questions for Carter, throw them in the comments section, and we will get to them before we wrap things up today here. Just kind of summarize some of this stuff. Octopus with no friends said he saw a silhouette behind a tree that flew away as an orb, with another witness as well. And then he kind of says, this small silhouette watching us, then a tree glowed golden. And that's when the orb showed up. So that's interesting.
Yeah. So, I mean, I believe Octopus. I mean, you saw it. You're not mentally deranged. You're not on psychotic drugs. You're not smoking dope. You're not, you're drinking. You've got good equipment. If you were using equipment, you saw what you saw. You're a rational human being. So why would you doubt yourself? Barnaby, your mother. I just brought up stuff that your mother, and you've never told me that story. So is your mother a nut?
Well, hope she's watching this today.
Remember, you're in the will. You better be nice to her.
That's right. Yeah.
No, but seriously, do you think she was seeing things?
No. She's seen orbs and stuff on several instances. Yeah. The small ones.
Yeah.
Not like I said, I saw the blue basketball, but she sees the small, like maybe baseball size, I would say, or smaller, baseball, golf ball size. Let me ask you this. Yeah. When you were talking about Octopus brings us up trees, bro, telling you, man. Do you think when people are you mentioned like these things going into trees and stuff to possibly recharge or something? Do you subscribe to that as being this like portal wood knock sound that some people talk about?
No, I don't support. I actually have never heard that theory, but a knock is just simply a knock to communicate.
Okay.
And that's either done with chest popping, clicking their teeth, or just making a telepathic sound where it sounds like a wood knock. Because you would find me hard pressed to agree that you could pick up two dry pieces of wood in a rainstorm, which I've been in, and have somebody bang on a tree and it be clear as a bell. Mm-hmm. It's just going to be, it's going to sound like a dull fun, So I think they can make those sounds orally, orally, not, and or with their teeth, or cheek popping, taking your cupped hands. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's all kinds of ways to make those sounds.
I think that's more likely, honestly. I had a guest on my show that if the audience hasn't listened to, the name escapes me right now, but she was worked with the bonobos at the sanctuary, and she talked about the bonobos will go and drum on the roots of trees with their hands. And if you're studying these other apes or whatever, and they're doing this behavior, why are we so, confused as to why we think that Sasquatch or something does this when we already know that other creatures make the same sounds a different way? So
yeah. So it's in their innate behavior patterns to a degree, but the brain size of the chimps and gorillas is not the same as the Sasquatch beings by any stretch. So the cranial capacity is 2 or 3 times, because gorillas actually have a small brain compared to their size in relation. So I cannot turn a deaf ear to stuff that's being told to me by complete strangers, because I've experienced it myself and seen it myself. So I can't just out of hand go, well, I'm sane, but you got to be nuts. You're telling me things that I've heard from 500 people.
Mm-hmm.
So are they all crazy? No. There's something going on the government doesn't want us to know. The government knows all about this stuff. You can't tell me they don't know. So they know, whether they're tied to the, when I was regressed regarding my abductions, the Sasquatch name was brought up by the regressionist as knowing of my work. So why would you know that or know what it is if you're just a dumb ape? Just little things like that. I'm going, dang, we're the dumb ones. we can build rockets and go to the moon, but we have our head in the sand when it comes to the reality of what we consider the dumb apes can do. Well, they're not. There's dumb apes, and then there's Sasquatch. So
I do want to bring this up as well, because you've mentioned the abduction and stuff a couple times. You have another whole book, Baptism by Abduction, and we went into that on my other show, The Paranormal Spectrum, a while back. So if you're interested in more on that, you can listen to the whole interview with Carter on that show as well. So we don't have to delve too much into it, but there's a whole story behind it and a whole book as well, and really, really good interview there if you're interested. So, but let me ask you this real quick then too. Do you think when we're talking about these things, are you familiar with Christopher Noel?
Yeah.
Okay, so Christopher has a theory as well as a lot of other people, but talking about how a lot of these metaphysical things that we're talking about with Sasquatches, the manifesting, the disappearing and stuff, he believes that this could possibly just be the ghosts of Sasquatch, and that these creatures are 100% flesh and blood, but what people are seeing disappearing and showing up, just like a person, is the spirit or the ghost of ones that have passed. What do you think about that?
Well, I never heard that theory, but I couldn't argue it, because there may be some tweaking needed, or some metaphysical quantum knowledge in my brain that I don't have yet to understand that more completely. But I can't say no to that. After seeing all the stuff I've seen, I can't say no to anything, unless it's proven to be outrageously impossible or quite possibly real and true. But that's a good theory, because it's not. The ghost part, boy, people are still, they're seeing them in a solid form. So if they're materializing, are they materializing as their solid former selves, or is it just a ghost where it's just a whisper of transparent? That I don't know, but I'd be open to listening to that theory, because why not?
But you see, like soldiers in Gettysburg, or I personally have seen full-bodied apparitions of people that look like they're there until they're not there. So I've seen 2 entities that I would say off the top of my head that look like a person standing there 100% until they weren't. And so if this is what people are seeing, an actual Sasquatch standing there, I don't know.
Yeah, well, where I went blank a minute ago was there are up to 22 dimensions as agreed to by science in general. So if dimension jumping, which was supposedly quite possible according to Einstein and others, why couldn't a being that's flesh and blood on this planet not have those same skill sets? Here's a really good book to read. Everything You Know Is Wrong by Lloyd Pye. Read the chapter about the Sumerians and the Anunnaki, how they genetically altered us and the apes here on the planet to get the humans that we are now, so we could help them mine gold dust, because they were trying to patch the hole in their atmosphere. Powdered gold, for whatever reason, is really good for patching up holes in atmospheres. I don't know how any of that works, but read that chapter. It will blow your mind, and it fits right in with a lot of really bizarre stuff. And
it also explains some of the other weird creatures, because if they were using different creatures and genetically engineering them stuff, that's where you get the Dogman, the Minotaurs, all the Sphinxes, all that stuff that's in Greek mythology, and all those other creatures and stuff that were one-offs or whatever, all makes sense if you subscribe to the theory.
Oh yeah. I read that, and I went out and bought the book, and I read it about 89,000 times already. It's just like, oh my God. And it has another book, a book that came after that. It's called Everything You Know Is Still Wrong. That's his second book right after that. I haven't got that one. But, that Anunnaki and the Sumerians, and they document that in all those gold tablets and cylinders that were dug up. Many of those are missing. Shocking. I wonder if the U.S. has them.
No, probably the Vatican.
Yeah, there you go. You're right. Right continent. Yeah, Vatican.
I don't think the U.S. has got much of that stuff. I think it's somebody else.
Yeah, no. But there's just too much. Like Lam Varak says down here, there are too many unknowns to rule out any possibility. You have to keep a completely open mind. Yes, you do. And considering is not believing. Considering is just considering. If you don't want anybody to know, don't tell anybody. You'd be a dirty little secret. You're going to be a closet, maybe believer. Don't tell anybody. Then your friends at work and your wife can't go, oh, go sleep on the couch. You're full of crap. Don't tell me that stuff anymore. It's scaring me. It's scaring the kids. I want a divorce. Whatever.
Yep.
I took that to the very ultimate end. But anyway. So, but that, we don't know what we don't know. So you can't say no.
Jesus. All of a sudden, a huge comment just popped up here. Oh my gosh. All right, we'll read this one out loud. It's relevant. All right. Just got on. I was 16 when I was walking home along the railroad tracks, and I had just got home and laid a box on my back porch to chain up the dogs. I had leftover steaks people didn't eat. I walked back up to get the box and looked up, and right where my aunt lived, to see a huge flying saucer with seaport windows. I made a gasp noise, and I'm at least 3 lots away from the saucer shaped, and it looked like it was on fire. Then it changed into a ball and went into the ground near a small, I don't know, near a small something. It cuts off.
Yeah. That's pretty trippy right by itself.
Yeah. Interesting.
Well, see, we don't know what kind of propulsion or whatever went into the ground near a small. Yeah. We don't know what kind of propulsion. We don't know what kind of dimensional skills and powers there are. We don't know anything. We're just stupid humans. We're just here to
a lot of
taxes.
Talking about the UAPs now, as they're called, talks about being trans medium. So being able to go through different substrates, water, solid rock, everything without having anything. So yeah, absolutely.
We don't know what we don't know. Government knows it all. They don't want us to know. They're going to monetize it, weaponize it, and politicize it before they let us know what's going on. And remember, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, UFOs don't exist. Remember? Oh, we forgot they do exist. We forgot to tell you. Yeah, they do. There's the UAPs. We call them UAPs now. The UFOs don't exist, but UAPs do. You're so full of crap, government. Come on, man. Stop it. Just stop it.
Do you remember in 2020 the government released a document that said we have off-world vehicles that we have like captured, whatever, and now they deny that report. I have it printed somewhere. It's in my stack of stuff right here, but they just outright deny that this report came out, yet they did. They released it. It says we have vehicles that were not manufactured by anything here on Earth. They came from somewhere else, and it was this whole report. And now they go, no, we never released that.
Yeah, they're full of crap. They live below the seas. They live, they live in the volcanoes. They live in the caves. They're everywhere. We're just here, and they're monitoring us to make sure we don't blow up the planet, because they got plans for it, or the planet. So they're here. They've been here for a long time. They're going to be here long after we're gone.
Absolutely.
So yeah, it's actually a great time to be alive, because it's fascinating if the disclosure will come through, because they've already lied to us a dozen times about all this stuff that doesn't. So just get over yourself. You've got all the money, you got all the power, you got all the weapons. Tell us the truth. Throw us a bone, two or three of them. I might slip you a couple of books. I'll give you a book. I'll give you a book for free. Sure, the government be right all over.
You're like, yeah, we know all this already. We don't want your book.
Yeah, we read your book. We use it for a doorstop. Get out of here.
Awesome, man. We are live here. We're going to wrap things up here in just a second. If you actually have a question, I see a lot of comments and stuff, and I'm sorry I can't get to them all here. But if you actually have a question for Carter, throw it in all caps, and we will get to it right before we wrap up here. You got a brand new book coming out here. Hopefully sometime November, December, it should be out.
Yeah.
We Are Not Dumb Apes. So that should be, where can people find that? Where can people find all your books?
Well, I'm self-published, so if you want a hard copy book, you buy them from me. But all my books are on Kindle on Amazon. This one will be too. But I autograph all my books. They're full color. There's no fiction. These are real people having real events, just like we've been talking about. And there's some pretty cool pictures in there. And I think you'd be really impressed. I've got some good stuff. People are sending me some crazy stuff, and you got to have an open mind to read the books. You just have to at least want to consider that some of this stuff, if not most of it, is actually happening. It may not be happening to you, but anyhow, you can look me up at sqexplorer@gmail.com. You can order my book straight through me, or you can go, if you just want the Kindle version, go to Amazon and look them all up. They're all Sasquatch, Evidence of an Enigma 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and the abduction books on there too.
Yep, we got the abduction book here. There is links in the show notes for all the Amazon books, as well as I put the link to Strange Knox magazine in the show notes, because I know that you are an author as well for that. So shout out to them. So we have one all caps question for you here. There it is. What is a Nephilim?
Well, the Nephilim were supposed to be the fallen angels from the biblical times that fell out of grace and sitting on the right hand of God. So they were supposed to be evil or demonic. And a lot of people have said, well, the Sasquatch and the Nephilim looked a lot alike. And so they started equating them with Sasquatch, and Sasquatch started being compared to Nephilim, and Nephilim to Sasquatch. And I don't think there's a connection to either two, other than there's some kind of physical resemblance. Basic 8 foot tall, long hair, and 1,000 pounds. Other than that, I don't think there's a similarity.
I've always had a problem with the Nephilim theory as well. I think that if Sasquatch is in the Bible, it's related to Esau, who's this 8 foot tall legendary hunter. He's covered in hair, and he gets banished up to the mountains, and his descendants live up in the mountains and stuff. So I've always thought that if the Bigfoot are in there, they're probably more related to him than.
Yeah. Well, it was the red-haired giants there in Kandahar, Afghanistan, when the Marines several people came out and said that happened. Then it got quashed. So, but who knows? Like I said, the government's going to lie to us. We don't know what's true,
Absolutely. Just keep seeking the truth. That's all we can do.
I don't,
know your own truth, what
Yeah.
you believe, and what you've got out there. So
Yeah. I'm content with myself every day. I go to bed.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, man. Final thought. What do you want to leave people with today?
Just have an open mind. Some of this stuff we're taught from the day you're born, you come out of the birth canal till you're 18 to 22, depending on if you go to college. We're told how to see the world by the government, schools, colleges, science, social media. We're told how the world is and what is real and what is not. Only when you're out from underneath all the educational stuff do you start to have an open mind to start going, that doesn't really make sense. So have an open mind, read a book, look up something, because the government does not have your best interest at heart regarding information of what's really going on in the cosmos. They just don't. Knowledge is power, and we don't have it. That's it. That's worth about 3-4 cents right there.
Yeah.
Maybe a nickel.
This is good. Virax is Latin for seeker of truth. I just thought it's
cool.
right in there at the end, so that's cool. Awesome, man. All right, Carter. Awesome talking to you. Really appreciate you coming on. Always a pleasure. And look forward to our next chat again. So
Absolutely.
All right, man. You take care, and I'll see you later.
All right, Barney. Thanks, man. See you.
All right, guys, that is our show for this week. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure you go check out Carter's new book. And as soon as that comes out, it should be a good one, especially if you're into all the weird and the other metaphysical side of Bigfoot and Sasquatch. Always a good time. And go on over to the Paranormal Spectrum, my other show on Thursdays, and you can hear all about Carter's other book, Baptized by Abduction. He goes into a lot of detail on that as well on that show. So interesting stuff. So until next time, guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. Remember to like, subscribe, and share all things here on the Untold Radio Network and Cryptids, Anomalies, and the Paranormal Society for all of my research. Until next time, guys, I'll see you on the edge.